Good day everyone. For today's lesson, we will be discussing about gameplay. At the end of this lesson, you will be able to learn about the following: how to make games fun, important concepts related to gameplay, types of challenges in a video game, common actions in video games, and significance, impacts, and methods of saving a game. Making games fun. The most important thing to do is to avoid basic errors and bugs. Tuning and polishing significantly improves the game experience. Adding enjoyable variations to a game's elements contribute to the fun. True design innovation may only be 5% of the fun, but it is still necessary. Principles to keep in mind. Gameplay comes first. Give people fun things to do in your game. Get a feature right or leave it out. Broken features destroy the fun. Design around the player. Examine every decision based on the player's perspective. Know your target audience. Know what they want and what they think is fun. Abstract or automate parts of the game that are not fun. Optimize the fun, leave out parts that are not fun for the target audience. Be true to your vision. Do not add features that distract from the original goal. Strive for harmony, elegance, and beauty. A game will be even more fun with the perfection of aesthetics. The hierarchy of challenges. Hierarchy of challenges from lowest to highest. Atomic challenges are the lowest level challenges. A submission is made up of atomic challenges. A mission requires the completion of submissions. To complete the game, the player must complete all missions. Explicit challenges are told directly to the player, while implicit challenges are to be discovered by the players on their own. Usually, the victory condition of a game or level is explicitly presented. The tutorial levels also directly teach players how to complete atomic challenges. You should always tell the player about the victory condition. Most intermediate level challenges are implicit. Players will use their knowledge of the atomic challenges and victory condition to figure out the intermediate challenges. Providing the player with multiple ways to win will give a richer experience. The player will meet different intermediate challenges that lead to victory. Games can present several atomic challenges at once. It is the developer's job to decide how many challenges the player will face at once, both vertically up the hierarchy and at the bottom of the hierarchy. Adding simultaneous atomic challenges makes the game more stressful. Skill, stress, and absolute difficulty. Intrinsic skill is the level of skill needed to overcome a challenge without the element of time pressure. Stress is the perceived effect of time pressure on the player's ability to overcome a challenge. Shorter time limits adds more stress. Absolute difficulty is the combination of intrinsic skill required and stress. Commonly used challenges. Physical coordination challenges are tested through the following. Speed and reaction time test the ability to make rapid inputs and the reaction time to events. Accuracy and precision test the ability to control movement. Intuitive understanding of physics test the knowledge gained from the experience of the game world. Timing and rhythm test the ability to make inputs at the right time. Combination moves test the ability to memorize a sequence of inputs with specific speed and timing. Formal logic puzzles are challenges with at least one specific solution that requires deductive reasoning. These do not require outside knowledge and can be solved with reasoning alone. It is important to avoid making puzzles that can only be solved by trial and error. Mathematical challenges often deals with probabilities. It requires the player to make educated guesses using their imperfect knowledge of the situation. Races are challenges in which a player tries to accomplish a certain task before the other players do. Time pressure discourages careful strategic thought and instead encourages direct, brute force solutions. It also increases the stress on a player. Trivia and quiz games are direct tests of the player's knowledge of factual information. In other games, all factual knowledge that is required by the victory condition should be presented in the game. Players should also be clarified beforehand if the game requires outside knowledge. Memory challenges test the player's ability to recall things they have seen or heard in the game. Giving a longer time limit to memorize and recall it shortly after will make the challenge easier. Pattern recognition challenges test the player's ability to recognize visible, audible, changing, and behavioral patterns. The difficulty of these challenges varies depending on the pattern's length, complexity, and how noticeable it is. Types of exploration challenges. Spatial awareness challenges, learning around unfamiliar and complicated spaces. Locked doors refers to any obstacle that prevents the player's progression until it is disabled. Traps, similar to locked doors but negatively affects the player's character. Mazes consists of similar-looking related paths that guide the player to an exit path. Illogical spaces consists of unrelated areas that do not follow the expected logic. Teleporters, these are devices that can transport a player instantly from one point to another. Hidden objects, objects that are hidden in reasonable or obscured places. These objects are either required for the victory condition or optional, just like Easter eggs in a game. Conflict challenges require the direct opposition of forces, some of which are under player control. Conflict challenges can be broken down into the following: strategy, tactics, logistics, survival and reduction of enemy forces, defending vulnerable items or units, and stealth. Types of economic challenges. Accumulating resources requires players to accumulate anything that is deemed valuable. Achieving balance requires players to manage different kinds of resources. Caring for living things requires the player to meet the needs of each individual and possibly improve its development. Conceptual reasoning puzzles and lateral thinking puzzles both require extrinsic knowledge, which is knowledge from outside the domain of the challenge itself. Conceptual reasoning puzzles require the player to use reasoning and knowledge of the puzzle's subject matter to arrive at a solution to a problem. Lateral thinking puzzles often require the player to use extrinsic knowledge gained in real life, but to use it in unexpected ways. Actions. Most of the actions that a player takes in a game are intended to meet the challenges that they face. Games offer many challenges but limits the number of actions to avoid increasing the difficulty and expenses for the game. The actions implemented in a game are mainly defined through the challenges that were designed for the primary gameplay mode. Types of actions that are unrelated to challenges. Unstructured play. Actions for creation and self-expression. Actions for socialization. Actions to participate in the story. And actions to control the game software. Saving the game. Reasons for saving a game include allowing the player to leave the game and return to it later, the most important reason and an essential feature in large games. Letting the player recover from disastrous mistakes allows for reloading a save game after meeting a termination condition. Encouraging the player to explore alternate strategies allows for learning different strategies and outcomes. The act of saving a game takes place outside the game world. As a consequence, saving harms the player's immersion. Reloading a game also means there are no real permanent consequences, especially for games with branching storylines. Nevertheless, the arguments for saving outweigh these disadvantages. Ways to save a game. Passwords lets the player restart the last level attempted. Save file or slot saves the current state of the game to a file or save slot. Quick save saves the game instantly using a single button without disturbing the player's immersion in the game world. Automatic save and checkpoints allows for leaving and returning without explicitly saving, gives the least harm to the player's immersion. Preventing the player from saving adds difficulty without adding fun. If you really want to make the game harder, design harder challenges. Choose which mechanism works best for your game, weighing the advantages and disadvantages, but do let the player save the game whenever they want. Summary. Gameplay is the heart of a game's entertainment, the reason players buy and play games. Video games offer many types of challenges and various ways of adjusting the difficulty level. Players can do actions that are directly or indirectly related to gameplay. The different ways of saving a game has pros and cons, but it is always an important feature for any game. The material used for this lesson was taken from Chapter 9 of the book, Fundamentals of Game Design, 2nd edition, by Ernest Adams. Thank you for listening.